out to truly the end here, I'd love to show you how to modify where faders are, because I think it's something that I want you guys to feel confident that you can go kind of lay the console out however you need it on a particular Sunday. So in the setup menu, it's going to be in this user setup section up at the top left here. So I'm going to user setup, and you can see I've got a lot of different things down here. So I've got some general preferences about when it asks me certain questions and things like that. I think I kind of roughly set some of this up. So I'm just going to look at this while I'm here. That's fine. Yeah, okay, this is cool. So one thing is, I kind of skipped over. I didn't actually show you this earlier. You'll see on the faders, you can turn this off, but I've got it set to where it shows you kind of the gate and the compressor, or the two dynamics engines, and you can see how much gain is being reduced on each of those on the fader, which is a nice little feature, so I can see that compressor working. Okay, I'm going to jump over here to the section that says custom fader. The most important thing I can tell you about this fader, because they're about this page, because there's some ways to assign faders that actually kind of drive me crazy. That the important thing is whenever you're done assigning faders where you want to put them, close this page, because if you start pushing select buttons on other channels to navigate around, it'll actually start moving channels based on what select buttons you push. So remember to bail out, to exit this page anytime you're not working on it.
So now we're at the system level, not the channel level.
Correct. We're looking at physically laying out what channels we want to put on what faders. So this is the whole thing for those custom faders. So you can see that if I go to A1 through 4, the only thing I can customize on that A side up here is what these two faders are. So by default, they're set up to stereo, left, and mono for all of those, but you can change that. And so that's the only thing on A side that you can customize. The rest of it is fixed, 1 through 32, 33, like we talked about, it's fixed. Now once I get into B, I can fully customize. So I can basically saying, look at faders 1 through 16, look at faders 17 through 32, and this is basically the list of what channels are currently there. So I can hit clear all, and I can just nuke it and start over, and that just clears that bank. So boom, just like that, we're back to starting from scratch on B1. So if I'm building this out, I would actually start over here on the left, and I'm just gonna tap here. Now I can look through my list of my channel names and start assigning stuff. So I'm gonna actually go to my drum stuff first. So I'm gonna hit kick, snare, again, assuming we build out to have more channels from the drums, I'm gonna go ahead and drop that as if you have those. So we're gonna start with that. And then I want my bass. So a lot of this is similar to what was already here. I'm just gonna kind of keep going with it. So I normally like to go through my drums and bass, and then I hit my guitars. And so I'll do electric 1, and try to see what other guitars there are before I miss something. See an acoustic, is that it? Just 2 guitars that are at least set up on here?
Probably. Yeah.
Okay, no worries. And then I'm gonna hit keys 1 and keys 2, and I saw tracks somewhere, so I usually like to drop my tracks next to my keys, since a lot of times those are kind of keys parts and stuff. And I think that's pretty much all my band inputs right now, which is great. So I'm gonna come over a few faders and leave some space for if I like add some things, so I can have room to just move some stuff around or add things. And then I'm gonna put my instrument related effects. So I'm gonna go to my stereo ends where those are, and I'm gonna pick my drum verb left and my instrument verb in the left. Now you see that you have a left and a right for each of those channels. What's nice on these stereo channels is because the left and the right are linked, I can essentially just put the left here, and the right's also turning up. I just don't have it assigned on a fader, so I don't have to look at it. But if I were to come back and put the, like let's say I made this my drum verb right, you'll see they're both moving. But if I take that one away, it doesn't change the fact the right is moving, I just don't see it anywhere. So do that. Oh, whoops, went too far. Put that there. So boom, that's kind of there's my band. Now I come over to this section over here, and again, you can see I'm just hitting plus to advance to which fader I'm controlling. So now I'm in B1, fader 17, so I'm right here. So now I would actually start with my DCAs here. So then I'm gonna go drums, guitars, keys, vocals. And then depending on how where we wanna land some things, this is then a good place that you could put your vocals right after that if you wanted. So you could go to, sorry, I'm trying to figure out where everything is. So let's say we wanted to do Mitch there, and then we wanted to do vocal 1, vocal 2, vocal 3. I don't know what's normal, so I'm just making things up here because it's all super easy to put stuff where we want it. And then I may get into here's where I want to put my vocal effects, usually is right close to that. So again, I come down here, throw my vocal verb left, vocal delay left, and now I've kind of got everything band-wise that I need, and now I have all these faders where I can start growing the things for computers and pastors mics and all the other stuff that's not part of music, but still very much part of the service. I can start kind of sliding down the line here. So I'm again, give myself some space and start throwing that stuff in. So now I could put, say, and I'm just making up options here, pulpit, baptistry, graphics 1 left, past, or we can figure that out. You can put whatever you want wherever it needs to be. But that's all it is to go kind of build out that custom fader bank. And now I have all the things that I need to do church this week right here in front of me. And again, before I hit and select on anything, I'm going to bail out of that pet menu so I don't break anything. And now I've kind of got all the stuff that I need to do for church right here in a pretty condensed view. I've got all my band stuff. I've got all my vocals. I've got my effects for both here and here. Yeah. So that's kind of what I like to do. I normally go kind of DCAs in the middle, band stuff left of that, vocal stuff right of that, and then anything kind of non-band stuff after that. So that's how I at least like to set up by default. Does that all make sense? Anybody have questions? Great. Well,
We'll probably set it up the way it's been set up for most for most of it. Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's a good way to do it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, how about poking around on some instruments on stage and listening to some things and
Yeah.
actually start playing?